Hello and welcome to Crush Your Mountain Wellness. I am so happy to have with us in this humble establishment, Crush Your Mountain, a 7-time New York Times author, Dr. Joel Fuhrmon. Let me tell you a little bit about our dear doctor. Dr. Joel Fuhrmon is a board-certified physician who specializes in preventing and reversing diseases through nutritional and natural methods. Through his medical practice, his San Diego-based retreat, Eat to Live, his books and television specials, Dr. Fuhrmon shares a life-saving nutritional protocol with people around the world. His work and discoveries are published in several medical journals, and he is involved in multiple nutritional studies with major research institutes across the United States. He serves as the president of the Nutritional Research Foundation. His 5 PBS shows have raised over $70 million for the public broadcasting system. His most recent book is Eat to Live. It's available on Harper One. And Dr. Joel Fuhrmon, we are so happy to have you here. Welcome to Crush Your Mountain Wellness.
Thank you. So happy to be here. If I could just say that I wrote Eat to Live in 2004, but my most recent book is called Eat for Life. That's the updated, more modern version.
Okay, excellent, excellent. You have so many publications out there, and a couple of them I'd like to touch on when we get a chance. But you know, it's clear that you have a passion for helping people rid themselves from the burden of illness and disease. But I gather that you, at one point, was a competitive skater. Is that true? And if so, how did your journey take you to this point?
When I was in my teens and early 20s, I was a competitive figure skater. But my father was overweight and had a lot of medical problems and medical issues. So together, my father and I were reading health and nutrition books to see if we can get him healthier. And so that became the starting point of my interest in health and nutrition. And I read so many books in my teens and early 20s that I really became critical of the medical profession and saying, why are all these people getting high blood pressure, diabetes, breast cancer, prostate cancer, asthma, rheumatoid arthritis, ulcerative colitis? Why is there such a tremendous burden of human tragedy that doesn't have to happen? And that nutritional excellence has the ability to not just prevent breast cancer and prostate cancer, and not just to prevent asthma and diabetes, but to reverse it. If you already have diabetes, you can become non-diabetic. And if you have high blood pressure, you can get off the medications, get back to normal again. Just like your body can lose weight, you can lose your diseases. And nobody's getting this message. And over the years, what we're seeing is the weight of Americans getting bigger and the amount of needless premature deaths and suffering getting even larger. And COVID is just an extension of that, of all these people who've eaten themselves into poor immune function, that they get so sick and even die from a virus like this. So yes, I'm extremely passionate about this message because I think every human deserves to know that they don't have to be sick. They don't have to have happen to them what's happening to other Americans. And you can protect yourself. And if you don't want to protect yourself, that's great. But at least you should know you could have, and you could make that choice for yourself, not have the information taken away from you or hidden from you. So, and most of what doctors do, giving drugs for high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and diabetes, makes it worse and accelerates the person's death anyway. It covers it up, the numbers look a little better. People think they're getting well and they're getting worse and getting heavier, and it goes nowhere. So yeah, I went to medical school back in the 1980s with the specific intent to be a physician specializing in nutrition and natural methods so I can occupy that niche to enable people who want to get well and not just take drugs and stay sick and get sicker.
That is so powerful. So 2 things. Number one, would you agree then that the medical system as it stands, the healthcare system globally, is essentially broken?
Yes, it's always been broken.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's because the healthcare system inherently is focused around giving people drugs. You know, if you hit yourself with a hammer and smash the bones in your hand, you go to a doctor and he gives you some medication to take the pain away. But the next day you go home, you take a hammer and you whack the hand again. And people are whacking their hand and they're destroying their body with eating processed foods and so much fried foods and greasy things and, you know, and highly processed carbohydrates and all these animal products and barbecue. And they're committing suicide with food. And they have this myth that's shared among people that, you know, that healthy eating doesn't taste good. And that to get healthy, you have to give up your pleasure in life. Some people will say, oh, just shoot me right now. If I had to live on carrot sticks and cucumbers, I'd rather be dead. You know, they've taken this false narrative and believe in it like a religion. And they think that doctors and drugs are their saviors. And it's a big, you know, what's the word? You know, it's like a pile of cards or whatever. It's a house of cards. It doesn't work. Matter of fact, the Accord study, for example, it was stopped in 2008 because they took people with diabetes and they divided them into two groups. And one group got more medical care and more attention from the nurse practitioners and diabetologists, where they have their finger sticks monitored and their medications finely tuned to keep their blood sugar in most favorable range. And the government in the other group was left alone to let things run more sloppily, not monitoring them, and had a poor blood sugar control. The government had to come in and stop the study after 8 years in 2008 because the people getting more medical care were dying so much younger, were having such an increased death and increased morbidity and mortality that the government had to stop the study.
Wow.
Doctors reviewing that saying, what? You know, more care means yes, because it was more drugs, and more drugs means more death. Drugs are not the answer to diabetes. You know, what the answer to diabetes is, take the 50 pounds off. Go back to eating vegetables, beans, greens, onions, mushrooms, berries, seeds. Get yourself back in good shape again. Be fit, get healthy, and your diabetes melts away. The drugs work as a permission slip. It's like a prescription pad I call the permission slip, so people can keep eating the same food that caused the same problem to begin with. And the drugs make you hungrier. They increase your appetite. They make you, they actually take the failing beta cells in the pancreas that were overworked and stressed from having to produce so much insulin. And they make those cells that are pooping out produce more insulin, so they poops out faster and the person's diabetes becomes advanced at a more rapid rate. That's just one example. But when cardiologists or intensive cardiologists who put in stents go on strike, we see, of course, when they're out with COVID, we see cardiovascular deaths go down. We have the studies that show undisputably that putting stents electively in people's heart to relieve their pain hastens people's death and doesn't reduce the risk of future cardio events. It makes things actually worse. We know that much of what doctors do is not just not helping, but it's actually making things worse. And yes, I'm a physician, and of course I respect the emergency care in this country and the way and these advances we have. But most people in this country are suffering with diseases of eating improperly, and if they don't want to eat properly, they're never going to get well. And it's self-destructive behavior, and obviously, I'm here to give people the hope and opportunity that they can get well and get their health back and their weight back to normal again, by the way.
Wow, that's amazing. I'll tell you, my personal journey and even starting this little, this humble little YouTube channel was that I was diagnosed with pre-diabetes. And so I went on a journey myself to get rid of it, to crush through it. And so I was able to drop my numbers down from 300 over on the glucose meter down to 93 and below that. And then finally, I was able to drop my A1C down to below 5. And then that's down from 11. So I'm happy with that. And I did that. Yes, there was the metformin, but it was primarily, and my doctor was amazed because I did it within 4 to 6 months. I did it with food and exercise.
And how much weight did you lose too?
I went from a 36 in the waist to a 34, and I think that I'm still going down. So maybe by the end of by the middle of summer, I'll be down to a 32, which was by my high school girth.
You know, it's so, people are so crazy. They think that they think it's okay to put on weight as a person's age. And I'm saying, of course not. Your high school and college weight should be the weight you're at for the rest of your life. You're not going to have more muscle now than you had then. And any fat on the body is a risk factor for lifespan shortening and disease. This is all about getting nutritional quality, eat food of a high nutritional quality without consuming excess calories. And my point here is that if you don't eat enough foods that have a high enough nutritional content, a high enough content of micronutrients, vitamins, minerals, phytochemicals, antioxidants, if you don't get enough of those micronutrients, then you become a calorie consuming monster. Because the drive to overeat becomes unrelenting and uncontrollable when you're eating the wrong foods. Eating the wrong foods leads to you having to want more and more food. Eating the right foods puts you in touch with the instinctual drives to eat the right amount of calories. You can't control your weight unless you control the quality of your diet. And I'm saying that the anti-cancer diet protects you against diabetes and heart disease and dementia. There's not one diet. There's not this an anti-dementia diet, and an anti-prostate cancer diet, and an anti-breast cancer diet, and an anti-diabetic diet, and an anti-hypertension diet, and an anti-diabetic diet. No, it's the same food, the same dietary portfolio gets you superior health, and the expectation. And the science says that the healthiest diet in the world reverses all those diseases and prevents all those diseases simultaneously. So we are in control of our health destiny.
Absolutely. I'm going to read this from you. This is from The End of Dieting. And I like that idea because I never refer to things in terms of diet. I like to refer to eating lifestyle. But you said here, a diet can only be considered successful if the food you eat supports longevity and protects you against heart disease, stroke, dementia, and cancer. This nutritarian diet style is the only dietary and nutritional program that guarantees dramatic weight loss without calorie counting. It is also the only dietary and nutritional program that teaches you how to protect against disease while simultaneously dramatically increasing your lifespan. Your risk of a heart attack and or stroke will almost disappear, and your risk of cancer can plummet by more than 90%, while your life expectancy can increase by 20 years. That in itself is amazing. How is that part of the protocol that you use at the Eat to Live retreat?
That's correct. You know, as you can imagine, I've reached a lot of, millions of people actually, but thousands of people across the country have, even across the world, have gotten rid of their high blood pressure, diabetes, heart disease, reversed their conditions, even things like psoriasis, lupus, and rheumatoid arthritis going away, asthma going away. So and that's been my excitement and passion, stems from my watching people and helping them get well. And then some people, their home environment, it's hard for them to do this on their own and make that change. And their food addictions, they need a place of safety so they can abstain from those break that addictive relationship they have with food. And so people come here for 30, 60, or 90 days usually. They stay here usually a couple of months. And we teach them how to make the food taste great, and they get rid of their addictions. They drop maybe, 30 pounds in 2 months. I've had people drop 50 pounds in 3 months. And they learn how to reproduce this. They get the counseling they need, they get the training, but they leave here with the knowledge they can continue to live this way at home and continue the weight loss. For example, I had one woman, Nikki, who lost 50 pounds while she was at my retreat. And then she went home that next year and lost 150 more weight when she left. She couldn't have done it if she hadn't spent those first few months here. You know what I mean? I have another person who lost 90 pounds here. I think she stayed 4 months. She lost 90, but it was 390 when she came in. She left at 300, which is still a lot of weight. But now she's dropped another 100 pounds.
Don't just climb a mountain, crush to it. You know the deal. See you in a little bit.